Hi folks, Scott here, Review Guys. Now I wanted to make a video talking, and I'm going to warn you, I'm probably going to ramble because I have a lot of things going through my head. But a video about the end of ECW. It's coming to an end. And how do I feel about it? How do we feel about it, we fans? Honestly, in my opinion, I don't really see how this is too big a deal to too many people. Except for sentimental reasons, because I think the original ECW fans, the fans from the 90s, I don't think they've been happy with ECW since it's been the WWE's ECW. They feel that it isn't, you know, true enough to whatever it was. And then you have people like me who enjoyed the WWE's ECW for a long time, but lately I feel like it's just kind of been, I think I've used the phrase withering on the vine. Because it is. It just feels like it's been in this slow decline for maybe about a year now. So, the original ECW fans probably aren't too sad. The new ECW fans, like me, or I'm assuming I represent a larger number of people, but I'm not heartbroken because something needs to happen. So that leaves us with the idea that, well, these three letters, which mean something to wrestling fans and to the history of, you know, modern wrestling or the history of wrestling, period, ECW is going to be gone. It's going to be a memory. So for that reason, I think it's sad. Otherwise, not so much. Now, somebody left a comment. I think I made a statement on the SmackDown review about ECW, about being unhappy watching it, with it for the past little while. And somebody said, video request. They said, well, why don't you make a video talking about what you don't like about ECW now compared to what you liked about it when it was, you know, earlier in my watching. And I started watching it probably about a year into its run, right at the time of the Chris Benoit incident. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So when I started watching, Johnny Nitro was the champ, and there were still a lot of the ECW originals on. Tommy Dreamer, Stevie Richards, the Sandman was on, Balls Mahoney, who I liked. So I started watching, but what I liked at that point was they had their own set. Now this was when all three brands had their own distinctive sets. The ECW had the black background, it had the Tron, and then it had like a little tunnel that they came out of. But it was all kind of low budget looking. And I don't remember there being a whole lot of lighting effects, I don't remember it being colorful and bright. It just seemed very small, it seemed very intimate, very personal in a way, and the show had a personality that, you know, made it feel just special to me. Then they started diluting that slowly when they started their talent exchanges, you know, SmackDown initially and then Raw, and I like the idea of the talent exchange. That's fine with me to get, you know, to cross-promote and get people interested here and watch there. But I felt like it took, not only it took time away from the people who were actually on ECW, because, you know, you bring Kane in, well, that's less time for whoever is on the ECW roster. But also, it just starts taking away from, you know, from the special feeling, from the personality of ECW. Then, and I don't remember in what order this all happened, but when they did away with the sets, when they made everything this big, beautiful HD stage, or whatever you call it, well, yet again, personality gets taken away from it, and so now it becomes more like a clone of the other WWE shows. And again, not bad. It's not the end of the world, but it takes away from what makes ECW uniquely ECW. Then they've had a lot of writing missteps over, like I say, the past years, what I'm thinking of. And they've devolved into the point where the stories are, and I don't want to talk wrestling theory, because I could talk for hours wrestling theory, but pro wrestling is really, if we're honest with each other, from the American standpoint anyway, it's storytelling in the guise of an athletic competition. And that's why we have, you know, characters and stories and promos and things like that. The things outside of the ring that give more importance to what happens inside the ring, right? Well, I feel like that is where ECW has been failing for a long time now, especially in the last few months. The stories have been, first of all, the promos are almost down to the Abraham Washington show, which, that to me is proof that somebody's not paying attention. Because if I were Vince McMahon and I heard people chanting week after week, it was probably several weeks in a row, chanting boring or whatever, I would say, maybe people think this is boring and I should do something about it, but he hasn't. They might maybe use Abraham Washington less frequently, but anyway, that's where all of their promos take place, it seems, for the most part. But nothing is really happening. I don't know why. I mean, I understand William Regal wants to be dominant. I don't really know why Ezekiel Jackson is so desperate to be champion. I mean, everybody wants to be champion, but let's give a purpose behind his drive, you know? A Christian has a lot of charisma and personality. I like that. Zack Ryder, woo woo woo. I like that. I like all that stuff. But then at the same time, that's not enough to drive stories, or it hasn't been. And then their attempts at stories, for me, have just fallen flat. The Hurricane Helms Paul Burchill thing, I kind of felt like that could have worked when Paul came back with his mask on. In fact, I don't even remember how that ended up. But for the most part, a lot of the matches have been, or a lot of the stories, the programs, and I'm really rambling, so I apologize, but thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. And please comment below. I would love to hear everybody's comments, because I might be alone, although with the ratings sliding. But anyway, yeah, the programs have been reduced to a match one week, a rematch the next week, a rematch the next week. So nothing is really happening except they're just fighting each other, and the announcers are all saying, yeah, he sure was upset when he got beat last week. Let's see what he does this week. And that's not enough for me. So anyway, that's why I've been unhappy with ECW for a long time. I keep watching thinking that there's got to be something, and there are enough people that I like on the show that I think they're just gonna, it's got to click. I mean, something has to click into place, and it just hasn't. So, for that reason, the end of ECW is not a heartbreak in my book. Now, the way it was handled, Taz was on either tweeted or blogged or something. I've read some comments where he was upset that McMahon didn't thank Heyman or the original folks or anything. I would say let's hold off on that criticism right now, because Mr. McMahon came out as Mr. McMahon, the arrogant, egotistical billionaire, and his pronouncement was, I think it was kayfabe. It was in terms of the fact that it was a story. He's not being, I don't think he's legitimately proud that he's pulling the plug on this. I just think his character is. So let's see what actually happens in the next few weeks. But those are my thoughts, basically. I hope you enjoyed that. Tell me below what you think. Are you sad that it's gone? Has it been gone for a while? That's kind of how I feel. That it's been in need of a change. And a lot of things are being kicked around with what they're going to do in the coming the NXT show, if that's indeed what it's called. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go, and I think it's been time for a change. So I think this is not bad news. So anyway, thank you for sitting through all of this if you have, and we'll talk to you all very soon.